Good morning, Nicole. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Awesome. It's such a pleasure to have you here this morning and to be spending this time together to hear a little bit more about you and your organization and the mission that you're on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be interviewed by you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and Atefeo.
Hey, my name is Nicole Kambou. I'm originally from Burkina Faso, West Africa, and I'm a registered nurse. I live here in Ontario, um, Brampton. I am a mother. I have a son, and I have my wonderful soulmate husband. I'm just a humble woman. ATFO is an organization I founded back in 1987, and it was officially recognized in my home country, Burkina Faso, in 1996. And it's a French acronym, actually, meaning Atelier d'éducation et de formation des enfants orphelins. It's like a orphans training program. I founded this because myself, I'm an orphan, and I was 16 years back then, and I saw the needs of children in the street and who lost their parents. I started getting those children together, and I started with 187 children, and I brought about 10 children in my home, and I asked my dad, Dad, can they stay here with me? So it started like that, and as the year goes by, the numbers are growing. The demand is overwhelming, and today at TFO have a really good milestone. We have a school for them. We have, we place them in the families. Actually, it's a voluntary-based organization where we do not have a typical building, but if a family, you have two children in the community, we approach you and ask if you can take the third one. Then we support you with food and education for the child. So I incorporated the organization here in Canada as a nonprofit, and it has been in the US for since 2001. I incorporated that there as a nonprofit as well.
Thank you so much. That is amazing to hear. We have a few similarities, you and I.
Okay.
So I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to talk about that later. That is such a powerful story, right? And the work that you're doing. I'm excited to hear more from you. So you were on Oprah, and I'm curious to know, how did Oprah hear about you, and what was your experience like being on her show?
Wow. This was the joy. I was in Oprah in 2009. Um, I can tell you now, I'm still a little bit emotional about how I met Oprah.
I can imagine.
Oprah, Miss Oprah Winfrey heard about my work, a young girl growing, lost her mom, and then founded an orphanage taking care of the kids. So I had a friend from Burkina Faso. She's an American. Her name is Catherine Marchett. And she used to work with Peace Corps volunteers, and we are friends back in 1996. And she discovered me through the work I was doing for the kids. So when I immigrated to United States, we're still connected. And she was a member of the First United Methodist Church in Little Rock. And she was telling actually my story. And she invited me over there. And at the church, I was telling the story about the need, the struggle of the kids, the death, and all those, sad stories. Then the church was interested. They started, asking what they can do. I was lucky and privileged that there was someone in the church who have her niece who worked for Oprah. And then she took the story there. And then the Oprah said, I want to meet this wonderful lady. But before that, I had an Oprah picture framed in Africa, even though I didn't meet her, I didn't know much about her. Danny Glover was visiting Burkina Faso for a movie festival, and he was holding an Oprah magazine. Then that time I was working as a professor, language professor with the American Embassy. And when he got to me, he handed me the magazine. So I cut the Oprah picture, I frame it, and I put it in my room. I started building the love there without knowing I would meet this amazing woman.
Wow.
The dream came true when I immigrated to the US. I love to watch her show. I couldn't miss it one day.
I know the feeling.
and when I watched Oprah show, it inspired me. And I learned something, I get something from there, and it looked like it gave me positive energy about what I'm doing. And I will tell you that she contributed to my success because I went into nursing in the US. I graduated with 2 degrees at the same time, 2 Bachelor of Science. And all that came from, the spiritual and inspiring quote and the way she encouraged women, the way she's always there, to lift you up.
Yes.
So then the church, one day we have a fundraising dinner we organize every year in the state of Arkansas in Little Rock to raise funds to help these orphans. And the First United Methodist Church started that. And that fundraising have grown. Even we integrate other religion. We were the first one to invite the Muslim community to come in the church and talk about the orphans, what the Bible say about an orphan, what the Quran said about an orphan. It turned out to be the same message. So during that time, I had another interview, but I wasn't aware that this interview will go through Oprah. And that interview is the one you see in YouTube. And the interviewer was asking me, Mr. Scott, and what is your favorite, show? And I said, Oprah. And I said, Oprah, if you heard this, I really want to meet you. A few months later, I was invited, I was in one fundraising for the orphans, and they presented me with 5 tickets and a t-shirt, Oprah t-shirt, and a hat to go to the show.
Yay!
It was amazing. I was overwhelmed of joy. I couldn't believe it. A simple woman from Africa now will be sitting in Oprah, will meet Oprah in person. So, and I got to get on the 23rd of March, 2009, I was in the show.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's so amazing.
Yes, I went as a guest. So she didn't interview me in depth, but she introduced me to the public, to her audience about the job I was doing in my home country. And she, actually that day she didn't host a lot. That show she picked up only, I remember, two guests from the audience, and I was one of the luckiest one. And to pose with a picture with her.
Wow.
And to get a hug.
Oh, wow. Dreams come true. Dreams come true. Yes.
Yes.
And it's like you manifested it, right? Because from once you got that picture of her and you built that love and you were a huge fan.
Yes.
And that's the power of thoughts and intentions that we hear so much about, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. Thank God that you were able to meet her and she had that impact on your life.
Yes, thank you. I was really blessed, and I'm still, because I remember she said we will have you back here, and since then I know the show changed, and but I'm looking forward. I still hope that one day she will probably say, "Oh, I remember this woman. I will get her back here again." So you never
Yes, I'm
know.
sure. You never
Yes,
know. Anything is possible. You
yes,
already did it once.
yes, yes, yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more now about some of the challenges that the young people in Africa are facing.
The challenges are still overwhelming. Young people of Africa um, have a lot of needs. Mostly there is poverty is the main root cause of it's one of the biggest challenges. Africa is poor, and there is a for the youth coming out, there's a lack of education. Even most of them get education, a best education and the resources to guide them through the employment. So they are facing employment, poverty, the hunger for the youngest one. They are the most vulnerable ones. The orphans in the world, they don't have people to take care of them. They have to find their own way. And so hunger, and when a child go to sleep hungry is a problem. So they are facing now with the growing, the society is growing, and Africa is still evolving slowly. So if you're a youth there, you don't have parents, you don't have a way out, you don't have an employment. This is your life is very scarce. Um, so the poverty is the main challenge we have, and lack of employment and lack of resources. The youth cannot live their fullest life, and I'm going to speak on behalf of girls, because we see a lot of, as you know, the women status in Africa is undermined, and you see young girls growing, and in certain area, I'm not going to generalize in Africa, I'm going to speak for my country, Burkina Faso, specifically where the challenges are overwhelming. You see young girls who become orphans, and they being raped and have orphans too, and there's a lot of challenges. I mean, word cannot even explain a lot, but poverty is the mainstream. Lack of employment, lack of education, access to health is a big problem. And I'm glad you asked me this, because my nursing took me far away. I have a health clinic in the community to help those who cannot afford care. And access to health is still a big problem, meaning that these young folks died for disease that could be prevented. So lack of water, even the simple water to drink, lack of water. We see young people who are really dehydrated. It's either there's no clean water, and it affects their life. The whole life is affected. So some of these challenges are because of the poverty. The world poverty is what is really is the problem. Um, Most people, young people are facing in Africa. Yes.
Wow. As I'm listening to you, sorry, it's one thing when you hear about it in the media, right? But after speaking to somebody like yourself and hearing, the things that you're doing personally, I can't help but feel emotional, right? It is something that is so hard to hear when we live here, right? I also live in Brampton, right? And it's like, we take things for granted. We really do. And I know we don't do it intentionally. We don't sit here and think to ourselves, oh, my life is so much better than everybody else's. But when you hear that there's such a dramatic need, right? And
Yes.
that there are resources out there. It's just a matter of them becoming more obvious, right?
Yes.
Being brought out. So this is going to be very, very powerful, I'm hoping. right? That we reach more people who are like us, right? Who live every day and hear about the things that are happening, but want to get involved,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because that's the only way to make change, by reaching one person at a time and being able to share with them what you've shared. And you're right, there are not enough words to describe what it must be like for these young girls, these young orphans, dealing with poverty and unemployment and lack of resources, even basic things like clean water and food,
Yes.
right? Whew. So this leads me into a little bit more of a deeper question for you, Nicole. What is the main lesson that you would say you learned over the years while doing this amazing work for your community?
Thank you for asking that. I learned a lot. Going back to what we previously discussed, uh, saving one life at a time, is better than not saving at all. Looking back, reflecting back 20 years ago, those group of orphans, some of them now are teachers, some of them now have their own small businesses in the community. Particularly, we have an orphan boy. His name is Bruno. Um, I just don't want to cry, but we got him. Atifil got him when he was 5. Today, he's a medical doctor.
Wow.
And he volunteers now in the community.
Of course. Yes.
So what I'm learned is that if you're humble and you are human, you can always show your human size in so many things. I learned to not take things for granted, because I see some of these kids who go to bed without a daily food, and I eat 3 times a day. I see some of them who walk miles and miles to get water. I learn to not waste water. And this is a calling. I'm telling young folks who are now the opportunity to live in a better place to think, when you are not exposed, it's not their fault, like you mentioned. If you have not gone out, how do you know things are happening in the world? So this is how I learned to be humble, to be appreciative, and to get involved, to do my best to help however I can. The lesson learned is that in life, we can help each other, because it goes far away in our life. So I learned to listen to these people. Every orphan have a story. Every woman have a story. Every man have a story.
I agree with you 100%.
Yes.
And it's such a key thing that a lot of people forget too, right? That everybody that we meet, sometimes we're so quick to judge without knowing what somebody has been through to
Yes.
bring them to the position where we interact with them.
Yes.
So I agree, to be humble, to be grateful. Those are amazing things that we learn every day. And I can just imagine that through what you have seen and through your work, how that is even on a greater scale.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing and your honesty with that question.
Yes.
This one I'm really excited about, this next question. How can the viewers, the audience, how can anybody who's watching this get involved with your mission and be able to help these children?
I I have been working in some sustainable developments, um, goals. Through my work, I want viewer to know that there is a child there who go to sleep without the food. I want viewer to know there's children who die every day because of lack of malaria cream. They die for malaria, or something that could be preventable. I want women to know that the viewers to know that I'm working actually on the 5 sustainable pillar goal from the United Nations. No hunger. I want viewer to know no more struggle to get a clean water. So if they can challenge me, access to healthcare is the priority also for children, and better education is one of them. So I have clean water. I have 5 goals I set up. I've been working with for more than 20 years. And being able to provide them, if they can help me with, establish a water pump for a village who don't have a water for the community, that will be awesome. If we can get the children to eat 1 meal a day, that will go along. If we can get school for children, if we can get a place where they can go and learn and go to sleep, that will be awesome. Gender equality, women are still being beaten and no value. We're still working. We are not there yet, but we want to be there. I want you to know that I need support. I need help, because if we all get together, the world will be a better place, and we
Yes.
will change. There will be a change. We've seen these children, and I cannot thank enough the previous people who have discovered me and supported me. We see those children who grew up and they are productive in their community. So I'm asking viewers to know that we have 5 goals, which is no poverty, no hunger, access to healthcare, minimum care at least, better quality education, gender equality, and clean water for everyone.
I'm excited about the list that you have there, because I already myself am sure that after today, you and I will be having many more conversations about how I can help and how I can reach out to my own personal and professional networks, so that little bit by little bit, just like we said, one person at a time, we can come together and make a change.
Yes.
Right? Nicole, what message do you have for the viewers out there who are watching and inspired by your own personal story?
What I have to say to the viewer is, it takes time, but the willingness and the motivation can change the world. So I'm doing this. I started this more than 20 years ago with nothing, because I believe I can change somebody's life. So I'm asking viewer to think about something. Think about this. Reach out to other people. You don't have to know somebody to help.
Yes.
And every good deed we do is good. So I ask young folks to get involved in volunteering work and asking to know what is going on here, even in our backyard and also outside. And help is always good. So I want them to know that there is a woman here and who is doing this amazing work, and who need one hand doesn't collect the flower, as we say in African. A lot of hands can work better. I'm asking viewers to extend their helping hands so we can make life better for those who are underserved and who are struggling to survive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That message is perfect. Is perfect, because you are an example. You are an example of excellence, and also what it means to just be a truly good person made in God's image, right?
Yeah.
So I thank you. I am deeply moved by our conversation this morning and the things that you have brought to the forefront of my mind today. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for the work that you do. And on behalf of children, thank you. I cannot say that enough, because I'm sure there are not even enough words from their perspective to show you their gratitude for changing their lives as well. The success stories that I heard are amazing, and I'm sure there are many more to come. And I'm excited to see you have more volunteers, more help to continue to make such a huge impact.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I want to emphasize again, we need a lot of support. We need partners, and we have a website. People can go to www.atefeo.org to see the work we are doing, the work we're doing, and we want people to get involved in this, in helping me help others and helping us help others. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And we said, if you don't sell the disease, you don't get the treatment. And this is what I'm doing, is to selling the disease and get help. I think it was a pleasure and a blessing to meet you today and giving me the opportunity to discuss what the work I'm doing is amazing. Um, Thank you so much. And in anything we do, we put God first, and we hope that this meeting will go along.
I agree. And you're right. We put God in front of everything, and we will make a difference.
I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge my friend Matthew Taylor, who always encourages me to tell my story. He's an amazing, brave entrepreneur, young writer, and publisher here in Toronto. Matthew inspired me through his creative work. He wrote a very nice, amazing biography for me. Matthew and I believe there is a hope for the hopeless if we all stand together. Thank you, Matthew, for your hard work, and thank you for arranging this interview today for me. God bless you.